I'm Dr. Deb Butler, and you are listening to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is episode number 372. Welcome to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. If you're a woman and you're smart and you're successful and you've been struggling with weight your whole life, and now menopause is making it harder than ever, and you are ready to make this the last time you ever have to go on a diet again, then this podcast is for you. Stay tuned. Well, hello, all my dear friends all over the world, and I mean all over the world. Well, today's the day. The doors to my group program are finally open. And if you are interested in joining, I believe we have 3 seats available. You can go to drdebbutler.com/peace and you can sign up. And let me tell you, I have spent a year updating it and making it so organized and easy for you to use. And within the group, you have ways that you'll be able to work on your own and work specifically with me too. I'm telling you, you will not want to miss it. If you're on the wait list, you probably already got a letter from me. But if this is something that you've been thinking about doing, please don't hesitate. And to help you along, what I've decided to do for today for the podcast is I'm actually going to play the interview that I did with Diana from my last group call that we did, and she did a podcast with me. She's actually done 2 of them. And I want you to hear that interview that she did because it was a really great experience for her. And I think it'll help you understand if this group experience would be good for you too. So whatever you do when you listen to me, and when you listen to this interview with Diana, sit back, take a ride, take a walk, whatever it is, and enjoy this interview with Diana. And I'll be back at the end to say a few things. Diana, hello. Welcome back to my podcast.
Oh, hello. I'm so happy to be here.
You know what? You're kind of a star already, because I have introduced you in the podcast right before this and kind of told a little bit about your story and about you coming back after being with me in a group a couple years ago. And it's such a beautiful story that I wanted everybody to just hear a little bit about you before they actually met you. And now here you are, and this is your second time here on a podcast with me. You were here 2 years ago after you finished another group with me, and you were totally amazing. And I'm going to make sure that everybody who wants to go back and hear that podcast, they'll be able to do it by going to the show notes. And today it's the new improved Diana from the new improved Diana on the first podcast, which is really everything that we're going to talk about today. Is number one, you never stop improving. It's not like done and done.
So true.
And the other thing is, I would love for you to just say a little bit about, everybody knows that you've done, this is your second group with me. What made you decide to sign up and do another group with me? Tell me what happened.
Okay. 4 years ago, I had brain surgery because I had a non-cancerous brain tumor that was removed. And I ended up with Bell's palsy, which has gotten better over the years.
I can see that. Mm-hmm.
I had to have my eyes surgically fixed because I had some weird stuff going on with the vision. I had to have a gold eyelid weight put in my eyelid. I had to have my nose corrected because it had caved in and I couldn't breathe. And then I also had gallbladder surgery and knee surgery, and amongst all that, it's like, oh, lovely.
But the biggest thing really, like from our first podcast, was the brain surgery and what came from there. And maybe say a little bit about, after going through that, what happened to you with eating and food and your body.
and what brought you, because I already asked you what brought you into the second group, but I think it's
Yeah.
worth saying what brought you to the first group. People can go back and hear the podcast, but
Hmm.
what brought you to the first group and then what brought you to the second group?
Well, I had heard your
Yes.
podcasts and I thought, oh, I need this. I wasn't in menopause. I'd already gone way past that.
Yep. Hmm.
I'm 65 now, so I'm way
Uh-huh.
past that. But I really liked what you were saying. It's like, wait a minute, there's a way to lose weight by taking care of what I'm feeling inside. Have you ever dealt with that before? So I
Hmm.
thought, I got to get onto this. So that brought me to begin with.
And would
Yeah.
you say prior to that, you had been on and off diets
Yes.
and when you heard my
Yeah.
podcast, maybe that was the first time where you heard maybe it's not the diet that you need. Maybe you need to understand what's going on inside of you, your feelings and stuff like that.
Yes, most other diets, they just talk about eat this and you'll be okay, you'll be fine forever. No, you
Uh-huh.
won't,
Uh-huh.
because you haven't taken care of those feelings that are underneath.
So when you came to me in the first group, you knew that you had feelings underneath to take care of. And I think going through the surgeries and the health things that you went through at that time probably brought it all to a little bit of a head.
It was scary. I thought I was going to not
Exactly.
come through the brain surgery. I thought I was going to die,
Exactly.
and a new lease on life. So I wanted to make it right.
Ah. And the new lease
Yeah.
on life you thought might have to do with attending to the feelings instead of trying to find another
hmm
diet and figure out what food to eat. You decided to figure out what feeling you're feeling instead.
Because I had to get my balance back. And I was just heavy. And I thought, well, how am I going to get my balance back when I'm this heavy?
Balance
So that
meaning
was another thing, too. Actual
actually
balance.
physical body balance.
Yeah, when they did the surgery, they had to take the balance nerve. So I
Wow.
had to learn how to walk again, how to talk again,
I want people to
everything.
hear this. I mean, you talk like, obviously, I did this. I go, that was a big old thing that you went through. Miraculously had a wonderful recovery and that you made it through it. But
hmm
it seems like when you joined my group after all this the first time, I think you were really ready to attend to the things that you knew that you never attended to before. And you had this second lease on
hmm
life. And I think you just weren't going, I'm putting words in your mouth, but that's kind of how I see
But
it.
it's so true. Everything you're saying is absolutely true. Yeah.
So in the
Yeah.
first group, between, listening to my podcast and then joining that group, how much weight did you lose then?
Probably about 20 to 25 pounds.
And in the end of that, because when I said in the podcast that I did last week that you had lost around 65 pounds altogether between the
hmm
podcast and being in the group. And when you came into the second group, where were you and why did you decide to come back? What happened?
I was feeling sorry for myself,
Why?
basically. And I let those feelings get to me because of every surgery I'd had. It's like, am I ever going to be whole again? And I just let it get to me. And I started eating away those feelings again.
So when you were talking about the health things that you went on, some of them were before the first group, and then some of
Yeah.
them happened after you had done the first group, right? And you
hmm
were feeling sorry for yourself because you still were having to go through things. Like you thought it was over
Yes.
probably the first time around,
hmm
right? Like, okay, I
Yeah.
got through all that.
When I had to have the gallbladder surgery, I thought, you know what? I probably need to be eating better, get rid of that acid reflux again. And I knew I had to do something.
And what do you think happened? Because you had learned to feel your feelings. I mean, that was a big epiphany in the first group between the podcast and being with me in a group. You learned how to feel your feelings. You lost a lot of weight. You learned how to eat between the twos. What happened?
I thought that I had forgot everything. But the first meeting that I had with you, I realized no, I had not forgot everything. I actually knew everything I was supposed to do. I just was not doing it. I thought I could do this myself. No. So I realized I needed a really good refresher and I needed some more Dr. Deb time.
Oh, and so you had been through some more health issues. And that kind of got your head going into feeling sorry for yourself. And the more sorry you felt for yourself, the harder it was for you to manage your mind, right?
Yes.
Like you almost didn't see it. Like you almost didn't see it. Like you thought you had it all figured out and everything was going. You'd lost a lot of weight. And then you got hit with some more health things. And when that happened, you started losing your mind, so to speak.
Yeah. But you know what's interesting
Well,
is,
tell
like
me.
you said, when I came back the second time, you'd asked me, well, how much weight did you gain? Well, it had only been like 10 pounds. So I really hadn't forgot anything. It was still there, obviously, because, if I was really eating crazy, I would have gained all that 65 pounds or more back, you know?
Right. And
So,
it didn't even occur to you.
no.
The only thing that
Hmm.
occurred to you because your mind was running the show when you let it is that,
Hmm.
you lost it and you forgot it.
Hmm.
And the more you thought that and the more you believed it, the more you proved it to yourself.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because when I was coaching you in our first group session, I thought, well, she probably gained all her weight back, which that could happen too. It happens. Right. And when
Hmm.
you just said 10 pounds, I thought, my goodness, what the mind is capable of doing with
Hmm.
actual circumstances. Like there's so many things you could have thought.
Hmm. It's crazy. Yeah.
Our minds can
It's
make us
crazy.
crazy.
Hmm.
So
Yes, it can.
I know, I know. And even though you knew all the tools that I taught, and I think this happens with a lot of people, and this is where, for me, self compassion comes in, is that sometimes in order to make this the last time, it doesn't mean you're not going to gain some weight back or you're going to lose your mind here and there. It just
Hmm.
means, do you have the ability to figure out a way to bring yourself back?
Hmm. And it was so great. This last sessions with you, I realized, oh, I can come back because you hadn't taught that before. It's
Right.
like, oh, yeah, what a neat thing. Yeah. So, okay. So one day I might gain a little, or I may eat too much. Next day I come back and get right back on track. It's no big deal, you know?
And that's really another interesting thing to talk about is that coming back a couple years later, I had really fine tuned the process. I made some new tools. So you brought your mind that was a little bit wounded, right? It was thinking things that wasn't helping you, that you did not
Right.
see. You actually
Right.
believed that you had forgot it, you lost it.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
really
I had
believed
that
it.
firm in my mind. Yeah.
You believed it. And after that
Hmm.
first session, I don't think you ever believed it again. Tell me where I'm wrong.
Mm-mm. You're absolutely right. Yeah, it's like, oh, I have everything I need. Let me get back and keep track of my food and, do the food journals
Mhm.
and all the other tools that you gave us. And, it's wonderful.
Right.
It's
And I think
wonderful.
that's the key is that sometimes when you start believing a thought like, I forgot it or I lost it, you stop using the things that got you where you wanted to go because you
Hmm.
believe it's not there anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. If I'd have just done the model, I probably would have been okay.
If you would have used the tools that you knew,
Hmm.
but sometimes when
Right.
you lose your mind, and just because you do a course with me, or I can't tell you how many courses I've done on the model, it doesn't mean I don't lose my mind still. Sometimes I need coaching too. I mean, I can't see things clearly. My mind has me convinced, just like it had you convinced, and you couldn't see the forest through the trees. But the thing that I think was so beautiful about coaching you and the difference between you coming back in the group and knowing all the tools to begin with, and a lot of people in there new for the first time, is that just coaching you one time, it's like your brain was already like an onion that had been peeled already so much. Soon as I started to coach you, it's like your brain just filled up with everything you knew. That's how it looked to me.
Hmm. And you know what was so great is watching all the lovely ladies that were in the group doing the same thing and coming around. It's like, oh, I laughed, I cried, I loved it all.
Watching everybody else being so vulnerable with themselves
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
learning the
just like
tools.
I was and am and will be.
Yeah, that's true. And, I think you were a wonderful role model in the group because we used your coming back to the group to show everybody. Because I'm really wondering, like, when you decided to pay the money and come back into the group, were you feeling embarrassed or anything? How are you feeling about coming back to
Mm.
that?
I was embarrassed.
Uh
I
huh.
thought, oh no. And then that first session when we talked, you're like, oh, hi. I'm like, oh no, she knows me from before.
Were you hoping I didn't know you?
Yes. I was like, let me just slip on through here.
So that's really, really important for everybody to see. So, what made you do it even though you were feeling embarrassed? What made you overcome that to get yourself the help that you needed?
I needed the new tools. I needed time with you. I needed to talk. I needed to hear the other ladies' stories. I needed all of that. And I didn't want to quit that. That was just too precious, actually.
How did you talk to the embarrassment? Because embarrassment and shame, you tell yourself a lot of pretty negative things, which could keep you from getting help.
Hmm.
So, because you got
Yeah.
help, what did you think instead?
Well, it's funny. I think I talked to you one time about that. I said, I kind of feel strange
Yep.
because I've been through this before and I don't want to come off as being like proud or I know everything or whatever. And then I realized, no, we all have to learn. I'm learning. I was still learning. There was so much more I needed. I just forgot. It's like, no, listen, we don't need to know that anymore. Let it go.
Let it go. So, when your brain was telling you and you were feeling embarrassed, how did you get yourself to sign up and come back? I mean, thinking, oh my God, she might recognize me. Oh my God, what's she going to think? I mean, I can't believe you would think I wouldn't recognize you, but, or that I wouldn't know you. I know
I
everybody
know.
that's ever worked with me. I really do. I mean, everybody
I
is in
know.
my
I
heart.
realize that now.
Yeah. But how did you talk to yourself to get yourself to do it again with
I
the
had heard some,
embarrassment?
well, yeah, I had heard some podcasts over the years from
Yeah.
you because I've listened to all of them now
Yeah.
twice.
I love that. Thank you.
And I thought, you know what? I could still use some coaching. I could still use some help. And, I realized that my mind had gone somewhere it shouldn't have. So I signed up anyway. I'm like, okay, we're going to do this.
It's almost like using the tools that I've taught you in the past. That's what you used to get yourself to sign up again. It's almost like compassion set in and said,
Yeah, that's true.
I
That's a
mean,
good thought.
otherwise you
Yeah.
wouldn't have done it. You would have been too cruel and too
Hmm.
mean about it and just tell yourself, if you didn't get it, you'll never get it. And, what is she
Yeah.
going to think? And let the embarrassment
Yeah.
stop you. But instead, I think you were fueled by knowing what you could get and knowing that you'd done it before and knowing that you would get what you
Hmm.
needed if you would get yourself back in. That maybe that it could be better. I don't know.
Sorry, my
It's
dog.
okay.
Yes, that. And I knew you had new tools. And it's like, okay, these are tools I probably might know and I might not know, but I want to know. So I'm going to get in on this.
I love that.
And yes, there was new stuff, the no bread, no flour,
Yep.
which I had never been a part of before. And we talked through that because that kind of messed me up
It messed up
a
your
little
brain.
bit at the time.
It messed up your
Yeah.
brain a little bit, even though you were curious to come back in and check out
Hmm.
all the new tools, and that was one of them.
Hmm. And I will do that in the future now that I have the tool to do it with. But at the time, it wasn't serving me because I had already gotten back on track. And I felt like my mind was telling me, you can't do this. You can't do this. And that set me back again.
It made your mind start thinking things. And so the way I
Hmm.
coached you on that, how did I coach you on that?
Yeah. You said, hey, if you know your own mind, if you feel like this is setting you back, don't do it. You told me, you said, okay, think about it. If you feel in your gut feelings that this is not for you right now, don't do it. You're doing fine already. go with it, and you can come back to it at another time. And that was just wonderful to me. That was what I needed to hear.
Because it's what you wanted to do.
Well, yeah, yeah.
And I think the coaching on that for me was because the no flour, no sugar experiment isn't for every client that I work with. It's part of the program, and all the tools are part of the program, and some work better for people than others. And when I'm coaching you or anybody, it's to help you feel this is good for me, this isn't good for me, this
Mhm.
resonates with me, this doesn't resonate with me. And I could pretty much tell with you because I do the no flour, no sugar experiment to help people with urges and to help
Mhm.
them get more in touch with their bodies.
Mhm.
It's a way of getting there.
And the other thing is, I really don't eat a whole lot of flour products anyway. I don't really eat a whole lot of bread. And my issue is sugar. But I've learned, through your tools,
Yes.
do a joy eat, do a
You've
joy eat if
learned
you want something. Mhm.
and so for you, you learned how to handle joy eats and you learned how to handle those
Mhm.
foods without doing the no flour, no sugar experiment. If you
Mhm.
hadn't learned how to handle that by the time that I introduced it, it would have been a very good thing for you to do.
Right.
But you had
Right.
already figured out how to do it without it, and you didn't need it.
Mhm.
For some people, that is not the case. For other people, it definitely is the case.
Yeah, that one joy eat that I did was just so amazing because I love ice cream. So I thought, let me do a joy eat with ice cream.
Uh-huh.
And I realized I don't love ice cream like I thought I did. It's good to
You
have a
mean,
couple of bites of it, but I don't eat all of it.
do you mean when we did the tedious powerful worksheet with
Hmm.
the ice
Yes,
cream and
yes.
you chose ice
Hmm.
cream to do the mindfulness of eating it bite by
Yes.
bite with the thought
Hmm.
that you loved it so much? It's not a
Yes.
great
Yeah.
thought. It's not a great thought about food, really.
Mm-mm. No, no.
Like save the love for your family. You know what I'm saying?
Right. There's other things to love on. My dogs.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this because I think you've ended up even losing more weight.
Hmm.
How much weight have you lost altogether now?
Probably about 85 pounds now.
Wow. And that extra weight that you lost was a result of you coming back to yourself and coming back into
Hmm.
the program and working with me
Hmm.
and learning some things about yourself that you
Hmm.
hadn't learned the first time because you didn't have the
Right.
time to go through all the things and apply them to life.
Right. Yeah, I love myself a lot more than I used to now.
I'm so thrilled to hear that, Diana. What would you say to somebody who's listening to this right now and is thinking of either working with me individually or especially because we'll be opening up the group again soon? What would you say to them who I'm sure they're more like you were? What would you say to them? How would you
Well,
encourage them?
yeah, to those that are thinking or have already been working with you at one time or another, don't be too ashamed or anything to not sign up again if you feel like you need some more of these tools, because there's some amazing tools this time and it's wonderful. And to those that have never done the program, what are you waiting for? This thing is wonderful. You learn that it's not food, it's your feelings. That's what's making you eat so much. It's what you're feeling inside. It's never the food. The food doesn't jump in your mouth, Mm-mm. It's what you do.
Diana, I have loved every minute of working with you. You are a wise, wise woman. You have gone through some big challenges in your life and you are amazing. And I hope that you think the same thing about yourself and that you are a
Yes.
sparkling example to everybody that's watching and listening to this of what is possible. So thank you so much for being on my podcast.
Thank you so much for your program. It's amazing. It is. And keep doing those podcasts.
Thank you. See you
Thank
next
you.
time.
Yes. Bye.
Well, as usual, I know Diana really is quite the role model. And I think the most interesting thing about her as a client is that she worked with me a couple years in a group experience And then she decided to come back because she had gained maybe 10 or 15 pounds of the 65 pounds that she had lost. And when I started coaching her, she felt like she had lost it. And what she learned in our very, very first call together is that she hadn't lost anything. And she went on to not only lose more weight, but to understand herself in a way that she never understood herself before by doing it again. So if you're on the fence or you've done this with me before and you feel like you just need a Dr. Deb coach me up again, this might be exactly for you too. Just go to drdebbutler.com/peace, PEACE, and you can sign up there. And of course, no matter what else you do today and no matter where else you go, please, please, please be very, very kind to yourself. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye. If you're loving my podcast and you would like some more information to be able to follow along with, then please go to drdebbutler.com/change and you can get a free copy of my companion book that goes with this podcast that I refer to in many different episodes. That is drdebbutler.com/change, CHANGE.